This Matchday 3 picks edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code PLGP to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Thursday, August the 29th. We are here to look at Matchday 3 in the Prem, which goes just Saturday, Sunday, I think. There's nothing going on Monday night. 2-day weekend, 10 games. Well, that's exciting. Joining me is Mr. Barry Penaluna. Barry, I do not think we'll be starting the AFL Cup Gambling Podcast anytime soon.
What a sham. Did you go? You never hit anything?
Well, you say what you were going to say, and I'll then go on.
I mean, I hit a winner.
Did you?
I took Southampton yesterday.
Oh, okay.
5-3 winners. That should have been my goal ladder. We went for the goal ladder on. Blackburn, that didn't come off. Huddersfield were cruising 2-0 up, but they were also down to 10 men and conspired to lose 3-2, despite being 2-0 up to lower league opposition late in the second half. Tuesday was terrible. But I was 100% on Wednesday. One pick, one winner.
Fair enough. I missed everything. Well, I can kind of claim there was one game I gave out to both teams to score no and under 2.5. It finished 5-0. So the both teams to score no, Barry. But that's the sort of week it was. That was my best effort, is that I got both teams to score no in a 5-0, which I said would go under 2.5. Everything completely and utterly wildly wrong. So, yeah, fuck that. But, Barry, do you know what? You're only as good as your last pick. Did I throw out the winner tonight on the Europa Conference League on the YouTube short, Barry? 6-4? Yes, I very much did. P.A.O.K. Salonika, my ancient Greek mate from last Thursday night. I got, what's the word, generated or whatever, his power into a 2-0 win over Shamrock Rovers. I'm on a winning streak, Baz, of 1. But yeah, an absolutely shambolic week. The AFL Cup picks with dog shit. But let's not worry about that. Let's say hello to who's it? Everyone's here tonight. It's a proper who's who. Cree was in ages ago. Andy Williams, how are you doing, Cal? There's some shenanigans here that I don't know about. Is there a story, Baz, that I need to know? Callum and Lee, there's some inside jokes going around here that I don't know about. Ian Lights Out, I believe, is a new listener, because I saw him follow us, subscribe on YouTube the other day, which you need to do. Slick Rick. Brian's punching his card. Michael up the toffees. Chelsea got lucky tonight. James Mafia is here as well. I was going to be a fun set of games tonight, Baz. The Europa League and the Conference League. Chelsea won.
Is that it? So we're done with the EFL talk.
Well,
after
what do you want to talk about?
0-4. I don't know. I just don't know. I enjoyed last night. I was at the City Ground for Newcastle versus Nottingham Forest. So I was just going to tell you what a lovely night I had. That was all. But if you don't want to talk about it,
well, no, I've got it written down, Baz. I'm going to say it says Baz with a question mark. I'm going to ask you in a minute. I was just going to mention, say Chelsea scraped through tonight. Picked a really weird team. You picked the other team. So I don't really know what the plan was there. But TNS went through, Barry, the new Saints. They beat some Lithuanian lot. Larne went through. They knocked Lincoln Red Imps of Gibraltar. Got toasted. I think Killy went through. Killy were beating Copenhagen, Kilmarnock, last time I checked. And on top of that, in the Liga, Ollie McBurney got an assist against Real Madrid. So it's been a right all night of stuff going on, Baz. Anyway,
how did Madrid finish? I think Madrid were losing.
It's still going, mate. It was one of those They like a good night-time kick-off, don't they? It's 1-1 with 15 minutes left, Baz.
Yeah.
So Madrid.
I haven't really watched anything tonight. Been quite busy. So didn't have my eyes on any of the results. I did see Chelsea were losing 2-1. Was hoping there might be a late bit of drama there, but I assume it finished 2-1.
But anyway, Baz, did you have a nice time at the Forest Newcastle game? Would you like to tell us about it?
Yeah, it was lovely. Aye, it was good. It was a nice bonus because I told you last week I was struggling, couldn't get a ticket. I toyed with the idea. I went on Tuesday night onto the Forest website and realised there was at least 6,000 tickets still available for general sale to anyone. So I sat there. Do I want to sit with them lot? And I was close because I thought, well, I wouldn't even have to sit next to them because I could literally have a whole block to myself in the top corner of one of the stand. And then, lo and behold, well, someone had put a ticket on Twitter. I'd quickly responded saying, I'll have it, but I'm in Nottingham. And he come back and said, no good, needs collected in Newcastle. And then the next morning, out of the blue, I get a follow on Twitter. And I thought, ooh, why is he following me? This could be good. Because I looked, it was a Newcastle fan. I'd looked, sold tickets on Twitter before. And he'd obviously seen my response the day before. So I followed him back. Private message come through. He's still looking for a ticket. I was like, yes. Where, when, how much? So met him and his pal. They drove down from Newcastle. I met up with him at the Notts County ground and picked up a ticket. So got a night at the City ground. Got to see Newcastle win on penalties. A 1 year's penalty is still floating in the River Trent somewhere. I think
that was funny, wasn't it?
Disgusting. So Chloe, my eldest, went as well, but she was in the Forest End. She went with friends of ours who are a family of Forest fans. So she didn't enjoy it quite as much as me. She said she wasn't quite sure what she was supposed to do when Forest scored because she just sat there. Yeah. But obviously everyone else is jumping around like lunatics. So then she thought like she had to at least stand up. So she just stood. It was very, very awkward. She said she was fine with the staying quiet for Newcastle bit. She expected that. But I don't think she hadn't really thought about how she'd react when Forest scored. But there you go. Good finish for us. Wasn't a classic game, Mike. Newcastle weren't brilliant again. I thought we grew into it strong in the last 20 minutes. Looked most likely to go and nick it. But it was, fairly dull game, really, for large parts of it. Lots of positives. Tonali come back, played well, should have scored. There was positives in the form of Willock coming back and looking good for the 20 minutes until he went and got injured. But otherwise, it's a win in the next round. In the seeded draw of the AFL Cup, we managed to avoid all of the big teams, which was good. I did like...
Well, do you remember...
I was ahead of the game, wasn't I, Malcolm? Because I mentioned this on the last show about how ridiculous this
surprised a lot of people, didn't it, on Twitter last night?
Nobody knew it was coming, and you're seeing everyone last night saying, what is this? What have they done to the AFL Cup draw? Even journalists were suddenly didn't realise it was going to happen. We were ahead of the game on that one.
Yeah, well done.
Absolute shambles. And in terms of fucking up competitions, haven't they done the same with the Champions League tonight as well?
Did you say that wasn't a draw tonight? That wasn't a draw. Did you see it?
It's an absolute.
We already fucking sorted out. Cristiano presses the button, and the Moulinex Magimix goes, "Oh, here's the teams that we've already written down earlier on. Here's the fixtures that we've sat in that office and written down in a bit. Look, here they are. The thingy comes up. Whoa, there they are. The only thing
we've just got one big league now, one 36-team league. But some teams will play some teams, and some other teams will play completely different teams. It's not a league if everybody doesn't play everybody. It's just a fudge to get more games, isn't it? Bizarre, absolutely bizarre. Nobody's ever sat and watched the Champions League and said this 4-team groups doesn't work. What we need is one big 36-team group. That's what the Champions League's been waiting for. Nobody's ever really complained, I don't think. It's just greed. Just greed, it's it, isn't it? And as a result, it fucks up the AFL Cup draws and stuff like that because we've got to fix it all for the big teams again. Yeah,
it was complete bollocks, I agree. I know we said, I think last week, we need to start handicapping games a bit sooner, Baz, because it takes ages when there's 10. But I'm going to tell you a story, Baz. I think it's a story anyway. Now, let me just read out this little advertising thing, and then I'm going to explain this because it's a head scratcher. But everything in the merch store is 10% off with the promo code football. I'd recommend getting. I'm not reading this. Maybe a Premier League gambling podcast hoodie or something. Plus, college football kicks off this week. Tune into Sports Gambling Podcast and the college football experience for week 1 picks. Right. So this, Barry, it ties in loosely to Newcastle Forest last night, but really that's only the start of the story. I'm not even sure it's a story. It's definitely not an anecdote. It's the sort of thing, it's like a Charles Bukowski novella. It's like the sort of, like a short film you see on BBC 4, like 20 minutes, subtitled. So Kev Matthews, you know Kev Matthews, Forest fan, the Spaniard, he went to the pub last night to watch the match with his kid. His kid's about 10 years old, him and Joseph. So they go to watch the match. He said there's 2 kids next to him who are about 15 years old. No parents or guardians at any point. These 2 15-year-old kids sit and watch the match. But he said they're quite chatty. They were having a chat on. This story goes nowhere, Barry. It's about nothing. But at the same time, it's about everything. So people who are tuned in live, concentrate. This is good, this. So the 2 kids are quite chatty. About 10 to 10, just as the game's finishing, the one kid says to Matthews, what time does that Aldi shut across the road? Matthews says it shuts at 10 o'clock. You got 10 minutes. So the kid says, oh, champion. He said, can you look after me glasses for me? Like your spectacles, while I just go across the shop. So Kez says, yes. So he takes his glasses off, puts them on the table, and him and his mate go to Aldi. They come back from Aldi 2 minutes later, in time for the penalties, with 1 packet of Aldi's own brand Jammy Dodgers, which is fine. They then seek and eat the Jammy Dodgers while the penalties are on. No problem. And that's the entire story. But what we don't know is why did he leave his glasses on the table? He didn't leave anything else, Baz. Not his phone, his keys, his jacket, a bag. Just his spectacles on the table to go and buy the Jammy Dodgers and come back and eat the Jammy Dodgers. And that's all I've got, Baz. But I thought it was worth mentioning.
That's a strange approach, like. I'd be more worried about why he felt he needed Jammy Dodgers and couldn't just buy a packet of pork scratchings like everybody else.
I was 15, wasn't he?
Maybe.
I'm sure everyone will take their own things away from the story. It's that kind of story, Baz, where you can take away the purchase of the Jammy Dodgers. You know, people could take away, but why the 2 15-year-old kids in the pub by themselves? Any of that. But yeah.
I mean, my biggest takeaway is the fact this should have been saved for Sunday night because we've got 10 Premier League games to handicap here, Malcolm, and we're 15 minutes in.
Yeah, right. That didn't need telling, though. Okay. These Premier League games, Baz, we haven't had a great start. We haven't had a terrible start either. Like I say, I'm not confident about them, but I'm not lost either. Don't think we've been far away. What I've decided I need, Barry, is just a little bit of luck, I think. Let's have a lucky weekend, because you can't beat that. I'd rather be lucky than good. So we're going to have a lucky weekend this weekend, Baz. Lee's not taking anything out of that story. He's decided just to leave it as it is, which, I mean, listen, your life, your choice, Lee. Underdog Fantasy Pick'em gives you a chance to win 1,000 times your entry or play fantasy football the right way with Best Ball Mania, $15 million in prizes. Use our promo code, which is PLGP, to claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code PLGP. Right, okay. As Baz rightly points out, we've got 10 games to get through. Fulham no arse tails aren't going to make us any money. And we're going to start on Saturday lunchtime with Arsenal taking on Brighton and Hove Albion. 12:30 kickoff, 7:30 Eastern time. Arsenal are 9-25, minus 277. The draw 19-4, plus 475. Brighton are out at 6-1. Third v second, this. It's a top 3 clash in this juvenile Premier League table. Arsenal have 2 times 2-0 wins against Wolves and Villa. Last week, the first goal against Villa was absolutely crucial. And Arsenal were lucky not to concede it because they should have done twice. However, they didn't. And then by the end, they were quite good value for their 2-0 win. So both of their games have gone under 2.5 goals. Cree at the top of the show wanted the under 3, which is a nice angle if you want the push as well. Brighton started really well, though. They've beaten 2 bad teams. They were lucky to beat Man United, really, in quite a close game. The key moments went their way, the offside goal for Man U and then a late winner. And the key moments went their way in the Everton game as well, because again, Everton were unlucky not to get the first goal, and Everton are a different team when they get the first goal. Then the red card happens, and all of a sudden Brighton get away with it. So I'm not sure quite how to handicap Brighton. Brighton haven't been as gung-ho under the new manager. There seems to be a bit more of an element of control about what they're doing. We took the Onana shots and stuff last week, and that was never really in play. But saying that, so I found this was a really, really hard game, Barry. I gone into the shots market because I think this could be quite an open game. Shots on target bars over 9.5 is going to be the play at 4-5, -125. Arsenal had 6 shots on target against Wolves. Brighton have had 5 in both games. It's a really tough game to split, but there's just enough data to get us to 10 or 11 shots on target, Baz. It's going to be close, but over 9.5 shots on target in what I thought was a tricky game, Baz, is 4-5.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I thought about going into the stats sort of stuff myself on this one because I hated this one. I looked at it for a while. I came up with nothing. I went through the rest of the card. I went back to it. I looked at it a while longer. Still really, really struggled to nail down a pick. I've got there in the end, but probably not one of my most confident picks of the card. I think I was hoping to get to this one, open the prices up and see that the bookies had possibly overreacted a little bit to the strong start from Brighton. That happened last year, and we sort of captured that a bit. We sort of started fading Brighton because everyone was thinking they were going to be amazing. I thought Arsenal there would be priced a little bit bigger, but at 4-11, it's probably shorter than I expected. I mean, good start it is for Brighton. I don't think we should get too carried away with them yet. And whilst Arsenal still haven't quite hit their stride for me yet, I'm a bit mindful that I said that for most of the first half of the season last year. But then Arsenal did just keep going and going and going. Without, in that early stage, I don't think Arsenal looked amazing, but they were just efficient and just got the wins. And that's how they've started this year for me. So I'm reluctant to be fading Arsenal too much early on in the season. Goals, Arsenal gone under 2.5 in both games. Brighton have gone over, so that doesn't lead you anywhere. As I say, I hated it, left it, came back to it, still couldn't pick something. It's then, do I think, do I want to factor Brighton into it in terms of goals? Arsenal have had 2 clean sheets, best defence in the league. Can't keep a clean sheet every week though, can they? Surely. Brighton have looked decent, scored 5 goals so far, and I think Brighton can get a goal. They might still lose the game, but I think if Brighton get a goal, then the handicap for Brighton looks okay. I know Cree's already mentioned this one as well. Arsenal won 2-0 against Wolves. I think Brighton can get a better result than Wolves. I think they're a better side than Wolves. And then the 2-0 against Villa flattered them a little bit. Villa should have been closer than that 2-0, being wasteful with a couple of really good chances. So I think Brighton on the handicap is where I've landed in the end. Brighton plus 1.5. It's at 10-11. So we cash even with an Arsenal goal. As Arsenal win by 1, we're still cashing this. If Brighton get anything else out of it, we've got a winner. So I still have that thing if Arsenal can get another clean sheet. But if it's a 0-0 or a 1-0, I can still cash my bet as a winner. Pick is Brighton on the handicap plus 1.5 goals at 10-11.
Yeah, I don't mind that, Baz. Against Wolves, I handicapped Arsenal in that vein because Arsenal against those middle teams just about won every game 2-1. All those middle teams that touched off last year 2-1, if they touch them off at all. So, I can get on board with that one. But next up, we move to the Saturday 3 o'clocks. First up is Brentford v Southampton. Brentford go off at 7-10, minus 142. The draw at 3-1. Southampton 7-2, plus 350, Barry.
Yeah, quite a short one here for me. Back-to-back 1-0 defeats for Southampton. Is that right? Who did they get beat off last week?
Forest 1-0.
Yeah. 1-0, yeah. They scored 5 last night against Cardiff. Cardiff are shite though. And I said at the start, I think the struggle for me is where the goals will come from. I think I said that last week. That turned out to be true. And I think similar again here. I think they might struggle to get on a score sheet. Brentford have had a good start with 2-1 win over Palace. And then predictably beaten against Liverpool. 2-0, no disgrace in that. Probably could have been more but I think Brentford will be happy enough with where they're at after the 2 games. I think low scoring stands out for me. That Brentford 2-1 win over Palace is the only game involving either of these sides which has gone over 2.5 goals. 3 of the 4 games have also gone both teams to score no. And that's where I'm going to go here. I'm really as afraid of Southampton. I'm not sure Southampton will get on the score sheet again. But Brentford could equally struggle. I'm not massively rating Brentford here. So I didn't want to go for a Brentford win to 0. I think both teams to score no is a good shout here. Both teams to score no is 21-20 for Brentford v Southampton.
So I've ended up in the shots market again, Baz, and it seems silly because I'm just going back to back. If I'd done this on games 1 and 7, no one would have noticed. But because I've done it on games 1 and 2, feels like that's all I've got. But this is my last shots pick here. Because it was hard. Brentford lost at Liverpool, but they did okay in spells. And I think they look quite dangerous going forward. And then on the back of a decent 2-1 win against Palace. Southampton, no points, no goals, no dignity so far after successive 1-0 defeats. Forest had 23 shots against Southampton last week, Barry. That's a lot, isn't it? 23, just for one team. Brentford gave up 14 and 18 in their last 2 games. The line is 27.5. I mean, if Forest had 23, well, we'll get way over that, Barry. I haven't gone with a ladder. I'm not as ambitious as you, but over 27.5 shots, 9-10, minus 111. Everton take on Bournemouth next. Everton are 7-4 plus 175. The draw 12-5 plus 240. And Bournemouth are favourites here, 14-9 plus 155. Everton have had a bit of a meltdown start, really, haven't they? 3-0 and 4-0 defeats. Did beat Donny in the cup, avoided that banana skin that everyone was licking their lips to get involved with last Sunday night on the show. And do you know what? Actually, there's some mitigating circumstances here. I think Michael's in the chat, probably expecting a pasting for Everton. And I'm not going to give them a pasting. I just said about Brighton, I thought Everton were unlucky not to score first against Brighton. And that would have made a big difference. It makes a big difference in Premier League football. And then the red card buggered them up. Against Spurs, again, Everton, there was a couple of spells in the game where they looked dangerous, set pieces and stuff. And then Pickford fucked it for them, didn't he? I don't think Everton have been that bad. And that still, in recent history, is though all those 1-0s that they won at the back end of the year, that's still definitely a thing. Bournemouth have had 2 1-1 draws. I don't actually think they're very good. Newcastle were terrible last Sunday. Absolutely appalling. Totally there for the taking. And Bournemouth never looked like taking us apart at all, really. I mean, Newcastle probably finished stronger. Bournemouth losing to a last-minute handball goal in the Cup in the week was absolutely outstanding, by the way, because there was no VAR, having had the last-minute handball goal disallowed by VAR last Sunday, so they can get in the seat. But they didn't score at West Ham. Like I say, I just don't think they've been great. This is Everton's bread and butter, Baz. This is the game Everton win. Everton win these sort of games. All those wins with clean sheets last year, 6 on the spin or something, wasn't it? I think Bournemouth were a bit shite. Everton's price is inflated here because some bloke shouted at them on a train. Everton 7-4 plus 175 up the toffees.
My God. The problem with all those 1-0 wins at the end of the season is that's what they do at the end of every season. They don't do it at the beginning of the season.
Do it on
They
Saturday.
struggle until Christmas, and this is the beginning of the season, and they're going to continue struggling, I think. I've wrote down here, you can't back Everton. You just can't. Home, away, favourites, underdogs, it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters where they are. Until we see something to give any kind of positivity, it's impossible. I don't know how you've got to the point where you think it's backable, but that's what we're here for. Different opinions and that. I mean, the whole atmosphere around the place is awful. Yeah, I said last week, you listen to Dyche, he sounds like an absolute beaten man. Like, he doesn't think they've got a chance. He's probably less optimistic about a win than you are for Everton this week. The fans will be less optimistic than you are for certain. If they go a goal behind, that place will be absolutely toxic. Like, we've seen some of the scenes from Everton fans this week. I did see Maupay. Did you see Maupay's Twitter post today as he left for Marseille? If you haven't seen it, you need to check it out. He is the ultimate shithouse, Neil Maupay, isn't he? He's obviously very much celebrating his departure from Everton. But yeah, he's an absolute twat, like. Bournemouth have been okay. 2 draws, 2 tricky games, away to Nottingham Forest and home to Newcastle. And I just don't see this game being a tougher challenge for them based on what we've seen in the first 2 weeks. I thought they looked more dangerous than you've given them credit for against Newcastle. Semenyo looked a real danger. Evan Nilsson looked lively. I assume Branthwaite's still out. He didn't make the squad last night. And I know our Everton fans in the chat have mentioned how important he is and what a big miss he is. Bournemouth goals I quite like. 5-4 for 2 or more. Everton have been absolutely porous at the back. 7 in 2 games so far they've conceded. But I like Bournemouth as a pick as well. On the off chance that Everton find a way to score, then I felt the Bournemouth team total was the better way to go. I'm going to go with Bournemouth team total over 1.5 goals at 5-4.
Next up, Saturday, 3 o'clock, Ipswich Town against Fulham. Ipswich 21-10, plus 210. The draw is 5-2. And Fulham are 5-4, plus 125. Barry.
Give me 1 second. I'm just having to write down the old timestamp for putting the chapters on YouTube. Right. I mean, I've wrote down it's essentially the start of the season for Ipswich, this, isn't it? After an opening 2 games of Liverpool and Man City in the first 2. They'll see this as the start where they can start picking up points. Or did the season start last night with a defeat in the EFL Cup to AFC Wimbledon? That wasn't a fine game. The problem there, they did rest a lot of players, to be fair. More likely, the reason for the defeat was probably the fact they had midfield general Calvin Phillips in there. And that's not good if you want to win games. We know he's turned into a bit of a jinx for anyone these days. So maybe look to see if Calvin Phillips is in the starting lineup for Ipswich before you get involved in this one. Hard to handicap, though. I think I've been quite optimistic on Fulham so far. I thought the Man United defeat was a little harsh on them. They've done enough to beat Leicester. I think Smith Rowe looked good, a good addition. Scored last week. But Ipswich, I think, have shown a few good glimpses. And I think we will see more from Ipswich this week. Omari Hutchinson looked good in the games I've watched. I like the look of him. And they've got a couple of new signings who'll be ready to come in now as well. I want to try and factor both teams in here because I do think we'll see someone from Ipswich. They got on the score sheet last week against Man City. Leicester managed a goal against Fulham. So there's no reason why Ipswich can't at least get a goal. I think Fulham have got goals in them as well. I know we haven't seen too many from them yet. But the goals here looks a decent price for me. Both teams to score are over 2.5 was where I was looking. The both teams to scores at 4-6. We can get over 2.5 goals at 10-11. I just think it's a really good price for a game where I expect both teams to feature and make a good game of it. So, I love the overs in the Ipswich-Fulham game. Over 2.5 goals, 10-11.
Yeah, Ipswich haven't disgraced themselves, Baz. Lee just pointed out in the chat. It has got kind of Burnley vibes where you kept saying, Burnley going to start now. He said they started that season 30 times and it didn't end very well. And that is a possibility if they get duffed up 3-0 or something at the weekend. You'd be thinking, oh, hang on a minute. But they haven't disgraced themselves in either game. Decent early on against Liverpool and took the lead against City. Fulham squeaked a win against Leicester last week after doing okay against Man United. They're still not very good on the road. It looks like a 2-1, Baz. I don't know who to. I agree with you. It's sometime in December when we look back in Ipswich have had 17 games in a row, both teams to score, or over 2.5. They're going to be like Brighton did last year. That's what this team's going to be. And we look back at the day when we could get this at 4-5. You telling me we can get it at 10-11. So I think the over 2.5 is the right bet, Barry. I am right there with you. 10-11, over 2.5 between Ipswich Town and Fulham. Michael wants the Smith Rowe goal or assist. Is 8-5 plus 140. And he wants the 2-2 draw. We move on. Once I have mentioned rhythm, football season is right around the corner. A week on Sunday, we can get stuck into the NFL. But you can create your own sports betting models for football with rhythm. Helps provide bettors of all levels of ability. That's good for you, Baz. You can build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. You can build your own model or copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard. The Rhythm College football model loved Delaware State last week with the points winner grinner. Build your own model and get ready for week 1 of college football. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. 3 o'clock kickoff. Leicester take on Aston Villa. Leicester 72 plus 350. The draw 29-10 plus 290. Villa are 3-4 minus 133. I had a chat online with Callum this week. I'm sure we thought Villa were some sort of plus money price, and we couldn't quite believe it. But the first time I've looked earlier on today, they are trading at 3-4 minus 133. Leicester did okay. They got a point against Spurs when in reality they got battered, and then they lost a close one at Fulham. Villa were good at West Ham. They were good against Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal, one of the top 2 teams in the division, and Villa should have had the lead a couple of times. Leicester were lucky not to concede 3 or 4, really, against Tottenham. I think the Villa win isn't a bad price at all. If you want to stick it in an ACCA or something, or just if you want to bet it outright, I've got no problem with it. 3-4, minus 133. But I'm going to take the 1-0 Aston Villa out of it. I don't think Villa win this 1-0. I think Villa win, but not 1-0. So we'll have any other score by taking Aston Villa to win in over 1.5 match goals. Barry is even money. It's all right, isn't it? So everyone else watching, going back Villa 1-0. That's exactly what's going to happen now. But yeah, Villa to win, over 1.5 match goals, evens.
I mean, I possibly like your pick more than mine. We're on the same lines, and I'm glad you've okayed it to put out an 8-11 shot.
Villa. I've okayed it, Barry.
Yeah, I've got them at 8-11. I've wrote down I can just see myself getting locked into a position of fading Leicester every week at the moment because I've had them psychologically in my head as a team I didn't want anything to do with from the start. So where the odds allow it, I'm gonna go against Leicester. Them picking up a point against Spurs on day 1 doesn't really sway me. Otherwise, I still think they're going to struggle. They've done. I don't know. Okay, fading Leicester last week, taking Fulham. And this is a similar price, really. I think Fulham were around this price last week. 8-11, it is short, but I think it's very fair. The 4-6 to score 2 or more goals. And if they do get 2, they're going to win. So the 8-11 appeals better for me, for them just to win, rather than taking them for goals or anything. Leicester put in a good second half against Spurs. So, yeah, they might make it a bit more difficult, but I agree with you. I think there'll be at least a couple of goals in it for Villa. And it's a game where you don't need handicaps. You don't need to go wild with anything. And I'm also mindful of the fact that we've said for the last 2 weeks, there's been no big surprises. Like, there's an argument for just keeping it very simple at the moment, from what we've seen so far. Who do I think will win? Villa. Or the back roll price? Yes. I'll just go with that. I'll just take Villa at 8-11. But I definitely don't mind tagging on that over 1.5 as well if you want to get up to an even money shot.
The final 3 o'clock game is Nottingham Forest against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Forest are even money, plus 100. 27-10, the draw, plus 270. Wolves are 13-5. Drifted a little bit. 13-5, plus 260 on the Wolves, Baz.
Yeah, so here we go. Wolves, the team that you say I can't get right. Now, that's not quite true because I did get them right in the first week. I have been in full fade mode of Wolves so far this season, another team that I'm not keen on at all. But I did get them right with Arsenal to win 0 on day one. I got them massively wrong last week by taking the unders in the Chelsea game and suggesting Wolves couldn't score in that game. They got 2 and Chelsea got loads. So that was very much wrong. I mean, Forest will come into it pretty fresh because they did rest most of their starting 11 from last week. They made 10 changes last night and still had enough to cause Newcastle a few problems at times. I think it feels like a big game, this one, for both teams. It's the type of game both need to be winning if they want to be away from the trouble at the bottom end of the table this season. Arguably more important for Wolves, given that they are 0 from 2. From a tough start, though, Chelsea and Arsenal, first 2 games. But I wasn't prepared to give Wolves a bit of leeway based on the fact they've had a difficult start. Because those results were in keeping with how they ended last season as well. They had 5 defeats in the last 6 games to finish the season and just 1 win in the last 10 games last season. So that's now 1 win in 12 competitive games for Wolves. It's terrible form and it's not short term. And they haven't shown anything yet to suggest that it's going to turn around massively anytime soon. It might do. It might happen here. But I'm going to continue to fade Wolves, who I've got down as being right in the relegation battle this season. I think Forest to beat Wolves will be my pick at 11-10.
Good win for Forest last week at Southampton, grounded out, onto 4 points now. And they did look quite lively against Newcastle in the Cup last night. Just a weird start for Wolves. Fair enough, 2-0 defeated Arsenal. And then a really head-scratching 6-2 against Chelsea. I'm taking all that out of the window, Barry, because both of these games ended in draws last year. Not an awful lot's changed. It's exactly the same again. I'm going to take the draw, 13-5, plus 260. And very obviously, Barry, it's the 1-1 draw of the week.
It's Malcolm's 1-1 draw of the week. Both teams scored a goal.
There we go. I haven't heard that for a couple of weeks. 1-1 is 13-2 plus 650. Michael's going up the ladder. Where we going, Michael? Forest, 8 shots on target in both games so far this season. And the line starts at over 5.5. So we get 11-10 for 5.5, all the way up to 7-2 for 7.5. So Michael's got us up the Forest shots. Yeah, they played quite expansive, actually. And I've got one thing to say about Forest. The old pound shop Jack Grealish last night. I don't know his name. I spoke to Nibs, me Forest mate. They were all wetting their knickers about him last night, even the commentators. We will not see him past the middle of November. Absolute dog shit. That'll be the end of him. Mark my words, if we ever hear of him again after November, I'll show my arse, Barry.
Who are we talking about?
I don't know his name. He just looked like if you ordered Jack Grealish off Temu, he was like, he had the city just like you're looking like, you get these people to come along to your birthday party for 20 quid. And Jack Grealish could just have that terrible accent and fall over. He looked like that. I don't know his name, but anyway, you won't see him after November.
I'll find the name. I know who you mean from the long hair.
He scored. He scored.
Oh, was it him that got the goal? Was it?
Yeah. Which, by the way, it was a complete accident. He just shanked it in off the angle, off the stanchion. Saturday tea time. West Ham take on Manchester City. West Ham are 11-2 plus 550. Have they drifted actually? No, yeah, they're out to 6-1. Line movement report. West Ham are out to 6-1. The draw is 9-2 plus 450. And Man City are 2-5 minus 250. West Ham beaten by Villa. Decent game, first game of the season. And then a nice win against Palace. Team still not settled. The new players majority of them got a game against Bournemouth in the cup. I saw a couple of clips of Fulkrug, and he just does have this big clumsy fucker look about him. Like, he gets the odd goal for Germany, but I reckon I could stand up top of Germany and find the onion bag every now and again. He gets some good chances. Like, he's just slow as a week in prison. City won 2 good wins. The win against Chelsea actually looks better since Chelsea won a couple of games and scored some goals. And then City did what you'd expect them to do against Ipswich. Do you want to know, Barry, why I green-lighted your short price pick earlier on?
Because you've got one here.
Because I've got one here, yeah. I would have called you a twat earlier if I didn't have one. City to win and over 2 goals, Barry, is 3-4, minus 133. I couldn't decide whether to give City a 3rd goal, so give City a team total of 3, or to give West Ham 1. So I've done both by taking City to win with over 2 goals. But either one of those 2 things could happen, and that'll be the outcome. So, yeah, it's a little bit short, Baz, but like you say, winner's a winner. City to win with over 2 goals, 3-4, minus 133.
Yeah, that'll win because it fits in with my pick as well. I mean, usual drill here, isn't it? Boring City when it comes to trying to find a pick. We're always delving around in the same market. City goals, handicaps, score both halves, win both halves. So you've come up with something a little bit different. I haven't. Man City have been very efficient so far, very straightforward. No reason to oppose them here. Odds of 11-2. West Ham didn't tempt me to try and find anything for them. I've got City right so far, 2 for 2. Took City as a pick against Chelsea. What a big price that was when you look back. And took them to win both halves against Ipswich. So City are favourites for me so far in terms of picks. West Ham, are they going to start any of their new signings yet? They didn't bother last week again, did they? They just left it all on the bench again.
A few weeks past to settle in.
Just keep rolling out Antonio, he'll be fine. They were still good enough to overcome Palace, to be fair, but nothing in that, which leads me to think they can pull off any kind of shock here. City, they've covered a 2-goal cushion in both games so far. They're a good enough price to do it again. They've beaten West Ham by at least 2 goals in each of the last 4 meetings as well. Both games last season finished 3-1. So have a look at the 3-1 as well if you want. But City handicaps, even money. City to win by 2 or more. Nice and simple, nice and easy. They do it every week. City minus 1.5 v West Ham at evens.
Okay, we move on to Sunday. There are 2 1:30 games. The first of which is Chelsea against Crystal Palace. Chelsea are 4-7. Minus, I can't remember what that is actually. They're 4-7. You work it out. Draw is Burlington Bertie 100-30 plus 333. Crystal Palace are 4-1. Barry, Chelsea, tricky, innit?
Aye, because I'm still not sure what Chelsea are. I mean, I'm not sure what they are or what they're going to be. Or I'd said early in the season, I wanted to sort of see a few weeks. We've seen them get beat off City. We've seen that madness of a game against Wolves, and then tonight you go and see them lose 2-1 against Servette, where fair enough. They had a deficit. They had a sort of 2-0 margin going into it, so can't read too much into that. But I'm still just not sure where to go with them. The one thing I did point out at the start of the season was they looked a little bit vulnerable at the back in pre-season. They conceded a lot of goals in pre-season, and they've continued with that a little bit in the league. They conceded 2 to City. Wolves, who can't score goals, I told you last week, still managed to score 2 against Chelsea. And then they've conceded again 2 tonight. So, whilst Palace only have 1 goal, I think they have created enough to suggest they can get on the score sheet here at least. I've no idea who wins it, but I think there'll be goals. It's 1-2, really, really short price for over 2.5 goals. But I think Palace will get at least one of them. So the over 2.5 and both teams to score is much closer to even money. We're getting it at 5-6. I think Palace definitely score here, and there'll definitely be goals across the board in this game. Chelsea v Palace, both teams to score over 2.5 at 5-6.
Yeah, the if you want to make a case for Chelsea, it would be if Maresca, like he said last week, and the first team squad he's dealing with, if he said in the press conference, fuck him, the rest of them, I'm not bothered. If he can do that, if that's what he means, and the actual first team squad who were there just think the same, if they're not bothered about that lot of training, and if they start winning a few games, why would you? The footballers, they don't care. It might actually just work. We're all laughing at the fact there's another 20 stood over there. It won't bother him. And he actually said that in his press conference. He was like, well, I'm not bothered. And it might just work, So if they can keep doing that, they finish the season well. They have got some good players. Palace are really hard to analyse. Maybe it's as simple as they lost their best player, in Elise. Matera played well in the cup. He's going to be important for them. So they've still got hopes it can go well, but they haven't had a good start. All the markets you picked out, Barry, are short. Both teams to score over 2.5. They're both round about 1 to 2, minus 200. 6 goals for Chelsea. Palace conceded twice in both league games. They've lost Anderson since then as well. Centre-back. He looks like he's staying now. Chelsea are good for goals, Baz. And I've gone back to the old classic. We normally have one a week of these. Chelsea to score in both halves. It's 11 to 10, plus 110. Chelsea do just look like they're going to play with a handbrake off and go for it. Chelsea to score in both halves, 11 to 10, plus 110. The penultimate game is the second Sunday lunchtime game, 1:30 between Newcastle United and Tottenham Hotspur. It is a match on the books, 6 to 4 each of 2, plus 150, Newcastle and Tottenham, with the draw at 3 to 1. Newcastle haven't been very good, frankly, 3 games. The Southampton one is understandable. There was a red card after 20-odd minutes, but we weren't very good before that. We were shite at Bournemouth, and we were bang average in large parts last night against Nottingham Forest. They've scored 1 goal in each of the 3 games, so not particularly finding the net regularly. The case you've got to make for Newcastle is A, the home form from last season, or even the last couple of seasons, we've been 1,000 times better at home. And B, the head-to-heads against Spurs, where we've absolutely embarrassed them 2 years running. So they've got to be a bit of PTSD for Tottenham coming in. Now, Tottenham battered Leicester 1-1, day 1, and then comfortable 4-0 against Everton. I can't back Newcastle. I just haven't seen it. I haven't seen enough to suggest Newcastle can win a game. Back-to-back draws, not scoring goals. Still running a makeshift defence. Shaw's going to be suspended again. Will Kelly come in? That didn't really work last week. So you're looking at Burn, Kraft. It's our centre-back pair in 4, 5 and 6. Do you know what I mean? Tottenham team total was my initial lean. But that's far, far, far too short. So I boiled it down to this, Barry. Have Newcastle look like winning football matches? No. Have Tottenham look like winning football matches? Yes. I'll take Tottenham at 6 to 4, plus 150.
Not sure about that,
You don't have to be, do you, knobhead?
I don't mind Tottenham as a pick. I just didn't think they were a big enough price to entertain me. A lot of what you say, I agree with. I don't know what to make of Newcastle. I certainly don't want to back Newcastle here. They weren't great again last night. They've not quite clicked yet this season. It's been low scoring so far, just 3 goals in 2 games for Newcastle. But you've mentioned the head-to-head. Historically, home and away, it's just got goals all over it. 8 of the last 9 head-to-heads between these two sides have seen both teams to score. 7 in a row have gone over 2.5. And 6 of those last 7 have gone over 3.5 goals. So I couldn't pick a side. The bookies couldn't split them. 6 to 4, either side just didn't interest me on either side of it. Because I couldn't make a strong case either way, because Newcastle haven't been good. But there is that home form that would sort of give me the doubts before backing Spurs here. I just think you've got to expect goals again here. Spurs are only going to play one way. We know that. And I think against Newcastle, that should lead to a pretty open game. Over 3.5 goals at 10 to 11 will be my pick here between Newcastle and Spurs.
You see, I just couldn't. Newcastle don't look like scoring, Baz. They're just misfiring, but we'll see. It could be 3-2 after 8 minutes, like it's been in the last couple of years. Tottenham corner ladder for Michael. We're going to have to give Michael a nickname, some sort of ladder-themed nickname here. He's fastly usurping me. Usurping you as the ladder man, like he's call him the window cleaner or something. Tottenham corner ladder. Michael's gone for. Finally, good game, maybe, who knows, on Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock is Manchester United taking on Liverpool. Man U 27-10, plus 270. The draw is 16-5, plus 320. Liverpool 11-13, minus 117. Barry?
Yeah, so, I mean, I've not been blown away by Man United so far. I think it's been very much business as usual, followed on from exactly where they left off last season in terms of the level of performance. We might see some changes here. There's a bit of a clamour to get De Ligt starting. Will that make a difference? Who knows? New signing you got. I don't know if they were expecting him to come in. Mount, I seen, got injured again this week. He's been a good signing for them, hasn't he?
Brilliant.
All that money from Mason Mount. McTominay is gone. So there's a chance you got might come straight in. But I just think if you look at the sort of projected lineups for this game, Liverpool just match up really well against them. All over the park, Liverpool look better.
Yeah.
The fly in the ointment, of course, is the fact that Liverpool couldn't beat Man United for love nor money last year. 3 games, 3 draws. Man United knocked them out of the cup. Man United just found a way every time. And a lot of the times it was right in the middle of a really horrible run of game where Man United were really struggling. And then all of a sudden it turned up like prime Barcelona against Liverpool. Liverpool in this fixture last year were 4-7 to win the same fixture at Old Trafford. Unbackable at that price, and I think we both said at the time, I'm fairly certain we faded Liverpool because they were too short.
Mm-hmm.
On this occasion, 17-20, I think they're very backable.
Yep.
Liverpool have started strong. They haven't looked vulnerable at the back as I'd suggested they might do. 2 games, 2 clean sheets. And in pre-season, they were really strong defensively as well. Conceded just twice in 5 games. One of those was a 3-0 win over Man United. I think Man United will have to up a game significantly here if they're going to get anything out of the game. They did that last season. Can they do it again? I don't know. But I think Liverpool's price is too attractive for me. Just given what we've seen from 2 games, from 2 teams, I think Liverpool are the pick here to beat Man United at 17-20.
Just a quick aside, Pete's given us a couple of ponies I've put up on screen there. That Ugarte signing. I saw a video come up on Twitter, and it's, listen, I don't like the stereotype. It was either, it's one of these, it was like Kenyan or like Arabic sort of Man United fans. Ugarte ball retention for PSG. Watch this. It's like a 45-second video of him getting off one fullback and giving it to the other fullback. In the game against Newcastle, where we fucking mangled him 4-1. And he's, what are we supposed to be looking at here? Oh, look how we retained the ball. Don't mention the fact that he got bodied off Sean Longstaff for 90 minutes. Fucking idiots. Not interested in betting Man United. They just haven't showed enough. Late and lucky against Fulham. Late and unlucky probably against Brighton. The hard thing is analysing Liverpool's form because it's been Ipswich and Brentford. Just on the eye test, though, I thought they looked really sharp. Having watched Newcastle last week really struggle, 1 hour later, I watched Liverpool fizz it round in the first 15 minutes, 10 times faster than we've done all game. They looked really, really good. Robertson got forward loads. I was going to try and find a Robertson prop, but I forgot. So he might do something. But the picks, Liverpool, but exactly the same. You spelled it out. It's a really good price, like 11-13 at minus 117. So yeah, I'll take Liverpool on the outright. And I think, Baz, we made a decent fight back there to get that done in 54 minutes. If we get through all the exotic shit in the next 5 minutes. So where do you want to start?
God, underdog is the worst one, I'd say. I looked down the card and didn't really fancy any underdogs at all. I'm sure you have because you've went with some ridiculous picks tonight. I'm thinking Everton. That's all. So yeah, gun to my head. If I had to take a punt on one underdog here, I'd go with Palace to beat Chelsea. Just because I'm really, really not sure about Chelsea. I fancy goals in it. One of them will win it with loads of goals involved. So yeah, Palace at 4-1 is my underdog.
Okay, my underdog is indeed Everton, Barry. You are absolutely right. There'll be no shouting at trains this week because they're going to win. Corned beef pie accumulator for me is like this, Barry. Moneyline treble. You love this. You're going to bet this. City, Manchester City, Liverpool, and Aston Villa is 7-2 plus 350. It's all right, isn't it? Have a corned beef pie on that, Baz. And the steak and Stilton pie is linked to that because all of them to cover the handicap is 16-1. So City by 2, Villa by 2, Liverpool by 2, 16-1. Bosh. I'm happy with that, Baz. Really happy. Go on, you go. Give us your pies.
I don't mind that. I like the steak and Stilton. Don't mind that at all. Corned beef pie for me. I've kept it quite simple. Over 2.5 treble. 3 games I think are good for goals. Ipswich, Fulham. I really like the goals in. West Ham, City, and Chelsea, Palace. Over 2.5 goals in those 3 games will come in at 3-1. And my steak and Stilton aka is linked again. It's the same 3 games. So Ipswich, Fulham, West Ham City, Chelsea Palace, all over 3.5 goals at 15-1 for those 3.
Okay. Goal scorer pick. I've gone back to Brentford, Baz, because Southampton, I don't think are very good. Brentford looked really quite lively at Liverpool. Going forward, Brian Mbeumo is a player. I thought he was a little bit slow and a bit sort of one pace a couple of years ago. But the more I watch him, the more I like him. So Mbeumo here at home against a bang average team is 11-2, first and last. 15-8 plus 187. Anytime goal scorer Brian Mbeumo, Baz.
Yeah, I'm also going for someone up against a bang average team here. You won't like this one, Martin. I'm going to go for Evan Nilsson against Bournemouth against Everton. I thought he looked okay last week. He's 11-5 for an anytime goal scorer. Decent price for Bournemouth's centre forward. 11-5, Evan Nilsson anytime, 6-1, first and last.
We're throwing out a lock, Baz. We discussed this last week. We did give out locks and we both hit. So, I mean, we could walk away at 100% or we could give out another one. I've written one down.
I totally forgot we were going to start giving out locks, so you can give out yours. I'll tell you what, I'll give mine out. Aston Villa would be my lock at 8-11.
Right, well, it's a double. We've double dipped, Baz, on the lock, because my lock is Aston Villa at the same price. So double dip on the lock. I think we both double dipped Fulham last week as well, didn't we? So there you go. Yeah. That's good. And finally, Barry, topical. You gotta roll with it. But have you seen Oasis have been in the news, Barry? You to say what you say. That you better be. The slow roller, Baz. I've had to start writing down songs with the word roll in it, just in case this gets beyond the next few months. So I've got about 6 lined up. If you do remember, Barry, we won.
Did you just? Is this just Premier League weekends here, slow roller?
Yeah, well, it's when I choose to slow roll, Baz. It's slow, isn't it?
It's very slow at the minute,
If I want to stop the roll, I'll just put chocks back under the boulder and we'll just leave. Will be no rolling for a bit. So we won £20.45 last week, if you remember. So, Barry, I have got Aston Villa, Liverpool, Manchester City, all to score 1 goal or more. That'll get us from £20.45 to £27.82. It's around about 1-3. So minus 300 is Villa, City, and Liverpool all to score a goal. So yeah, 20.45 all the way up to 27.82. Not as slow as that fucking story. Like this story. Hey, listen, if it done nothing else, it sparked debate. This story, Baz. 59.30, Baz. We've come in 30 seconds.
Whoa.
No, yeah, I'm just going to say, you're a right whinge. If you want to see anything else, Barry, stop jumping the gun. Come on.
Well, you know, I've got something else. We've got Baz's
Tory Scran, is it? Do I need to get the Tory Scran banner up?
No, it's Baz's 100% winning ladders.
Oh, the ladders. Sorry, shit.
Christ almighty. It's only the most important feature of the show.
Right, well, only got 8 seconds.
Every single week. And you're just trying to brush past it. The people have waited an hour for Baz's ladders. Don't you go spoiling it now. Funnily enough, I'd looked at a couple of things for the ladders. And then I went on Twitter this afternoon. And Lee had posted a ladder, which was one of the ladders I was thinking of.
Oh, what?
So, you could see it as a spoiler, or you could see it as he's just pushed me in the direction of one that I liked anyway, because it was a little bit of vindication that someone else has spotted the same thing, the same ladder. It's another shots on goal after we went with Eze last week. Now, Eze has had the most shots on goal in the Premier League with 12. He is tied at the top. Do you know who he's tied at the top with, Malcolm?
No.
Semenyo for Bournemouth.
All right.
He also had 12 shots. He's another one that'll just shoot from anywhere, and he gets near the box. He'll have a go. Semenyo has got 7 against us last week. He had 5 against Forest. And he finished last season strong as well with 3s all over the place. The line starts at 3, over 2.5. Semenyo shots on goal is at 5-6. Over 3.5, 2-1. Over 4.5, 9-2. Over 5.5, 10-1. And over 6.5 at 20s. He hit that last week. 20-1 winner if he gets to 7 shots on goal. I like Bournemouth anyway because they're playing Everton. They weren't very good. So yeah, the ladder this week is Semenyo shots. Over 2.5 at 5-6. All the way up the ladder to 6.5 at 20-1.
Michael's having a whinge about that. All that means, Michael, is that it sounds like a Pickford saves ladder to me. Flip it. Take the positives. My daughter has just joined me here. She's coming to the Tottenham game on Sunday, Barry, and is very much sweating on the fitness test of Dominic Solanke. She only wants to go to the game because she fancies him. So the fitness of Dominic Solanke is a hot topic in this house at the moment. And I think, Baz, are we all right done now? Did you have anything else now?
No, I've got non-pick related stuff to throw in at the end. First of all, we have to shout out to Joey from the Briar for a nice review this week on Apple Podcasts. So well done to Joey, who heeded the call for some more reviews on Apple Podcasts. I was also going to ask, are you in the market for Oasis tickets, Malcolm? Are you that way inclined?
No.
Didn't think so.
I don't mind them.
Have you posted on Twitter to tell everyone you're interested?
I was a bit more blur bars back in the day. I'm a bit more art school, aren't I? Do you know what I mean? Than you.
Yeah. It seems you've got to be on one camp or the other. You've got to be really excited.
Oh, right. Well, that's life now.
You've got to be really excited, can't wait to get a ticket, and you think you should be at the front of the queue for tickets. Or if you're not excited and you're not interested, you've got to let everybody know. I mean, the first day that I lost count of how many Twitter posts I've seen saying, am I the only one that isn't bothered about Oasis?
Yeah,
you're not, because you're the 20th person I've seen posting the exact same line. Just shut up. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
I'm in and I'm out all week long. I thought, oh yeah, this would be good. And then I thought, oh, it's 150 quid a ticket. It's travel, it's hotel, it's beer. It's a 500 quid day out and easily. And then the closer it gets to Saturday, the more I'm inclined to try and get a ticket for Wembley. So
the only thing is, a couple of times I've seen bands that I used to like 20 years on, they're just a bit shit. Like I saw Bob Dylan at the arena, and what you want is 1964 Bob Dylan shambling on with the harmonica, the guitar, and the massive afro, and what you get is the 85-year-old Bob Dylan, and it's fucking waste of time. So have a few cans, stick the album on in the house, save yourself some money, would be my advice.
Interesting. Michael's asking, where's the Tory Scran? We haven't had a Tory Scran update for a while. I haven't had much Tory Scran. I've been very busy and not able to be very exotic. I have got, though, if anyone's got any ideas in the chat, I've got some tilapia. Have you ever cooked a red tilapia before?
Well, it's just a standard flaky white fish, isn't it? You can't really go wrong, Baz.
What are you going to do with it? I'm thinking that might go on the grill this weekend. I'm thinking some like Moroccan flavours, a bit of Ras El Hanout or something like that. Harissa maybe. Yeah. Serve it up with a nice bit of couscous or something on the side. So I'll keep you updated on what goes on with the red tilapia. That's made its way into my freezer.
Your other option is, Baz, just let it down in a bit of coconut milk or something. Do you know what I mean? A little bit of cardamom, some green spices, that kind of thing. I've got an awful scran update, Barry, and my daughter who's sitting here can vouch for me because not 2 hours ago, Barry, I was on the pastes. I've been on the spreads. I sat in that chair and I ate an entire tub of Cathedral City spreadable cheese. I put the tub in the bin and then I followed it up with half a tub of that Biscoffy biscuit spread stuff with the same fork. I ate both the spreads with the same fork, Barry. Me insides, I'm going to have a hell of a turnout in the morning. Like, I'm not looking forward to that. That's going to be claggy. Yeah, a good solid kilo of pure spreads, Barry, with a fork. So they're now Tory about that. That was very much. I don't even know what that was. Sort of screaming Lord Such. Monster Rave and Looney Party scran. But there you go. Horrible. Right, shall we go?
Yeah, we're done. We're done. Let's get out of here.
Thanks, everyone. The chat was great tonight. I enjoyed it a lot. Made us giggle. Good luck with your picks. Good luck, Andy, with your 9 draws that you put up in the chat there as well. And we'll be back probably not Sunday because we're going to get full of beer watching Newcastle. So Monday, I reckon. It's fucking international break, and it's fucking hell.
We love an early international break, don't we? We'll talk about the England squad at the weekend because that was the news today, wasn't it? But we haven't had time today. So we'll cover that and we'll cover some international shite.
We'll get stuck right into Eswatini. Or maybe Indonesia for our Indonesian listeners. Right, thank you very much, everybody. Good luck with your bets. Watch out for the schedule, like, rate, review, all of that shit. We will see you down the road. Cheers.